Okay, let's get started talking about app deployment in education. We'll have a few speakers joining us today. My name is Jim Grambois. I'm with Jamf, and joining me...
Thanks, Jim. Hi, my name is Sam, and I'm a Solution Partner Manager at Jamf.
We'd also like to welcome Bart from Explain Everything.
Hi everyone, great to be here. Excited to demonstrate Jamf together with Explain Everything today.
As well as Tim from GeoGebra.
Hi, I'm Tim Brzezinski, Professional Development Director at Geogebra.
Today, we'll discuss the services and programs you'll need to deploy apps in the Apple ecosystem, best practices for licensing, configuring, and distributing apps, considerations for building a strong app library, as well as other considerations for any learning environment. I'd like to start off with a little information about Jamf for those of you who are maybe just hearing about us. Jamf helps organizations succeed with Apple. We're the standard for Apple in education. We help schools connect, manage, and protect Apple products, apps, and educational resources in the cloud without anyone ever needing to touch a device. Jamf School is the flagship product in our Jamf Education product offering, while Jamf Pro also serves education well in larger K-12 and institutional settings. Jamf Nation is a destination for our users, and Jamf Protect helps organizations protect data and educational information in educational organizations. Now, let's take a look at the different programs and services which will support you as an IT administrator in the education world. MDM is Apple's built-in framework for managing their products, and it's how many of the features we'll talk about today come to life through Jamf. You'll build profiles, which tell your devices and apps the settings they're supposed to have. These profiles use the Apple Push Notification Service, or APNS, to get to your managed devices. We'll explain a little bit more about that in a moment. And you build these profiles, which are simple XML files, right inside Jamf. Apple has this framework in place, and Jamf leverages it to make your Apple device management work. But there's a bit more to the puzzle to unlock all the features that Apple has to offer. Which brings us to Apple School Manager. Apple School Manager is the conduit which connects institutional Apple devices and app purchases to Jamf. It's also the tool which unlocks zero-touch enrollment workflows and allows apps to be distributed over the air without even needing Apple IDs. Apple School Manager is a free service provided to educational institutions by Apple. A key part of this portal is the Apps and Books section. This is where you manage app and book licenses. A token is generated, which links your procured licenses to Jamf. And this is where the magic truly happens, as once Jamf can see your app licenses, you're able to distribute them to everyone in a whole grade at once, or narrow it down to maybe just a specific class, or even a specific student. I mentioned this a moment ago, but Jamf works by leveraging Apple's push notification service, also known as APNS, to maintain a constant connection to student and teacher devices. It's the same service which sends notifications from your favorite app to your Apple device. All communication happens back to your Jamf server and is kept secure. You can send various commands, apps, and profiles to your managed devices, and this is known as Mobile Device Management, or MDM, and it works on iOS, tvOS, and macOS devices. On the Mac, we'll take it a step further and install an agent for more advanced Mac management. Now, let's talk about how you can procure, deploy, manage, and even redeploy apps seamlessly while leveraging Jamf. If we're leveraging App Store apps, we can use Apple School Manager to buy all the necessary app licenses. In this case, we're getting 100 licenses of Keynote. Now that's a free app, but we still need to procure the licenses in order to deploy it via MDM. Those licenses are then read by Jamf, and I'll use Jamf to scope which specific devices or groups of devices get that app. Then, through the MDM framework, those apps are installed over the air. Really nice and easy, and the user doesn't need an Apple ID for this to work. You can procure content to distribute to devices using one or more of the following methods. With Apple School Manager, you can purchase apps and books in volume and distribute them by uploading a token to Jamf, as we just took a look at. This is the most common use case in education, and oftentimes also the easiest. Users can still get apps from the App Store if you choose to allow it, but they must sign in with their Apple ID. If you want to eliminate this step, you can leverage the workflow we just looked at with Apple School Manager. There's also in-house apps, books, and documents, which are either developed through the Apple Developer Program or content created by your school, such as PDFs. You can distribute those in-house items to users and devices with Jamf. Or you can also make them available on demand in some cases. Now, App Request is a Jamf feature which allows teachers to request apps for their students or classes using the App Store and the Jamf School Teacher app. Before you enable App Request, make sure your school determines who should approve of app requests internally. This may be IT, or it could be a staff member who the responsibility is delegated to. After a request is submitted, an email to the approver and notification in Jamf School containing the request details is automatically sent to the app approver. Accounts with the app request privilege can review requests in Jamf School and approve, deny, or delete requests. What's the user experience look like for a teacher? From the App Store, they share the app they want to request with Jamf School Teacher and fill out the app request form, including information about the students or class they're requesting the app for, and a reason for the request. They'll get a confirmation when it's submitted successfully and notified in-app of your approval or denial. When you own the app license through Apple School Manager, you can also remove and redeploy apps from devices. How does this work? When a student no longer needs an app, you can pull the app license from the current device, returning it to your Jamf server. And then, when a different student has a need for the same app, you can simply push that app license to the new student's device, and it's ready to go. All that said, you may be thinking to yourself, that sounds great, but we use apps that aren't in the Apple App Store. No worries, Jamf can help with this too. With Jamf, you can do custom software installations. You can take snapshots of software and create a custom installation package with an app called Jamf Composer, and this is included with Jamf School and Jamf Pro. You can then upload that package to your Jamf server and push it out to all your clients' Macs. Pushing software down once is part of the story, but we also want to keep that software up to date, which is why we have a patch management framework built into Jamf Pro. This allows you to do patching of third-party software titles, as well as macOS itself. We monitor specific software titles, tell you the eligibility of those devices for updates, and help automate the deployment of the updated package. It's really great for the end user. All I do is get a little notification in the corner like this. In this case, it says please update Google Chrome as soon as possible. Now I can allow the end user to update it on their own, or I can force an update if I feel the time's right. I can even go so far as restricting specific apps. If I don't want a specific software title running on any of my devices, I can create a policy which says if I see this app running, kill that process, and then delete the app from the system. Self-service is an end-user portal that can be populated by IT-approved resources that employees can get with just a click. Easily install software, set up printers, configure email and VPN settings, notify your users about software updates, and customize the app to be branded with your school's mascot or logo. Jamf School includes self-service for macOS devices to help with specific use cases, and Jamf Pro extends that support to iOS as well. With self-service in Jamf School, teachers using Macs can easily access settings, wallpapers, files and documents, as well as apps and installer packages. And here we can see self-service with Jamf Pro in action. The user opens up the Acme app in the dock, which is a branded version of self-service. The user can then browse the home section to find IT-approved apps and resources. We see apps, printer drivers, maintenance scripts, ebooks, and more. If the user needs something, they simply click Install. IT can even set up categories to make it easier for end users to find what they're looking for. There's a History tab to see what's installed in the past. And finally, we can see any software that needs to be updated. All of this is done without our user needing to submit a ticket to IT and waiting for someone to fulfill the request. Many IT tasks can be automated and placed into the hands of the users, no ticket required. By not having to fulfill these types of common tickets, IT saves time and can focus on implementing other more strategic projects. Now, I'd like to hand it off to Sam Weiss, who will talk about the importance of apps when it comes to giving the best learning environment possible. Take it away, Sam.
Thanks, Jim. Now that we know how to get apps on devices, I want to talk about some really great apps. We're going to start with some Apple native tools that empower iPad-based learning. Then we'll talk about 3 Jamf apps that help teachers, students, and parents with technology. And then we'll wrap up with 2 apps made by third-party developers that offer engaging ways for teachers to connect to students, whether they're in the classroom or at home. We're going to give some examples of leveraging Jamf's teacher app with these other apps to create an engaging experience that makes the most out of your iPad. Apple's Classroom app is a groundbreaking classroom management tool that provides teachers the ability to guide students into the apps, websites, and books required for the day-to-day instruction. One of the great features of the Classroom app is the ability to see screens, as well as lesser-known features like airdrop collection and an app usage summary, so you can see what students were spending their time in. While it can only be used by devices in proximity, Apple's Classroom app still allows teachers to stay a safe distance from students while providing technology guidance for students that are in the classroom. The Schoolwork app is a learning management platform that helps teachers organize and distribute content to help more effectively make use of the wide ecosystem of educational content available for the iPad. It syncs with the student's managed Apple ID over iCloud, and it doesn't rely on Bluetooth proximity like the Classroom app. This makes it a wonderful supplement for remote or hybrid learning models. Teachers can easily distribute and collect assignments, keep an eye on student progress in educational apps, and collaborate one-on-one with students from anywhere in real time. And it's easy for students to use too. Assignments can include traditional materials like photos and documents, but you can also incorporate files, websites, and specific content within Schoolwork-compatible apps. Assignments automatically appear on students' iPads, organized by due date and class. Access to Schoolwork is just another example of the benefits of a managed Apple ID in education. Next up, we have 3 Jamf apps that help students connect with resources, teachers provide classroom management, and parents provide bumpers around the way that technology is used within the home. The Jamf School Student app is the central hub for students to get educational apps and resources during synchronous learning lessons. In addition, students can message securely with a teacher or raise their hand to send a priority alert to the teacher's iPad or Apple Watch. Students can also proactively update their apps if allowed. The Jamf Parent app resides on the parent's own device. With the partnership of admins using Jamf School, they can manage their students' school-issued devices by modifying apps and settings based on location, being in motion, or by time of day. This partnership gives the parents a deepened relationship with the school's IT administration and teachers for their students' learning experience in any environment. The Jamf School Teacher app was designed for teachers in classrooms with iPads. The app makes it possible to quickly and easily manage students' Apple devices, classes, and lessons. Without having to talk to IT, teachers can deploy pre-approved apps directly to students. And teachers can also restrict websites, apps, and functionality, as well as create ad hoc classes that will appear in Apple's Classroom app. We'll come back to some examples of the Jamf School Teacher app in a minute, But let's take a moment to talk about two education app developers that can be found in the App Store: Explain Everything and GeoGebra. Both of these apps are part of Apple's Education Partner Program and integrate with schoolwork via ClassKit. We're going to give a few examples of activities your teachers could implement with Jamf School MDM, the Teacher app, and these two apps. Our first app is Explain Everything, and it's been helping fill a very real void in distance and hybrid learning environments: the virtual whiteboard. No school experience is complete without either stepping up to the whiteboard to show your knowledge to your peers or collaborating in groups using the whiteboard as an infinite canvas for ideas. Explain Everything solves this need and more by offering a platform that is loved by teachers and students, embraces ClassKit, as well as app config for easy deployment. If your district also uses Zoom, Google Meet, or any other virtual conferencing solution, it can be tied together with the Jamf School Teacher app and an awesome new feature of ours called Remote Classroom. Remote Classroom gives teachers the ability to easily launch into a one-to-one or a one-to-many learning environment with just a tap of a button. Our friends at Explain Everything have graciously offered to join us to show how to tie it all together with a real example that your teachers could start using right away.
Thank you. So, Explain Everything is a digital version of your chalkboard, or should I say it's a supercharged digital equivalent that can be used together with Jamf's new Remote Classroom feature. Let me demonstrate to you how remote lesson can be started using Jamf and then performed with Explain Everything whiteboard. In this example, I have my iPad on the left and students' iPad on the right. I'll show you how easy it is to get everyone together for a lecture. All I need to do is to run a remote class so students receive the notification to join me. The remote class feature uses the teacher's Zoom or FaceTime account to mediate the connection. As a teacher, once I start my remote lesson, all I need to do is to run my Explain Everything and broadcast my screen like this. Students can join by simply tapping notification. Keep in mind that when using another app with Zoom or FaceTime, both conferencing solutions will stop transmitting your video feed. But that's okay, as I can have my own video frame with Explain Everything and make myself visible that way. Now I'm ready to guide my students through materials on color theory in a very visually interesting and appealing way. Alright, and in the second example, I will be showing you how to help a student who has messaged me that he needs a little extra help to understand the Pythagorean theorem. So here, as a student, I can raise my hand and ask for help. This will trigger notification on teacher's iPad. Teacher can send message. Now, if teacher wants to create one-on-one session with student, he can always do that, starting remote session for just selected student. And here, this will trigger notification on student's iPad, inviting students to the session. Now, as a teacher, I can prepare my session, go to Explain Everything, pick up some materials, share my screen, broadcast it through Zoom, and wait for student to join. Student, after using notification, will easily join the session. Now, as a teacher, it's relatively easy for me to explain Pythagorean theorem. I can always use additional materials than I have on my iPad to make visual illustration more interesting, like this. Great thing about Explain Everything is that it comes with features allowing us to whiteboard together in real time. Currently, I'm just broadcasting my whiteboard to a group, but if I wanted, I could open it up so everyone could work together actively in real time.
Thanks, Bart. That was just one of the ways that Explain Everything could be used in a classroom. It's available on the App Store, and there are different plans available from free accounts for individual teachers all the way up to enterprise managed accounts for an entire district. For more information, check out explaineverything.com. Our next developer is GeoGebra. Jamf has partnered with GeoGebra in the past for high-stakes assessments while in person, but some of their recent developments help solve remote and distance learning problems in ways that can be enabled through the Jamf School Teacher app. We've invited Tim from GeoGebra to come and give us an introduction to the platform, talk about their newest feature called Geogebra Classroom, and then show some examples of how it can be integrated with the Jamf School Teacher app.
Thanks, Sam. Sure, GeoGebra is dynamic mathematics software for all levels of education that brings together geometry, algebra, spreadsheets, graphing, statistics, 3D, calculus in one easy-to-use package. GeoGebra is a rapidly expanding community of millions of users located in just about every country. GeoGebra has become the leading provider of dynamic mathematics software and apps supporting science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in the arts, STEAM, education, and innovations in teaching and learning worldwide. Last month, GeoGebra released Geogebra Classroom, a very powerful virtual platform and interface through which teachers can actually assign interactive and engaging tasks for students. Teachers can view live updated progress of all students working on a specific task. You see thumbnails that change in real time. And teachers can see all student work without the hassles of asking the student to share their screens. They can hide student names when displaying their own screen, when displaying student responses to the class. And overall, it's a platform that gives teachers the power to easily facilitate rich, interactive discussions among all students, groups of students, or individual students.
We're going to show an example of how to use Geogebra Classroom with Jamf School Teacher. For this example, let's assume we already have a lesson for math started in Jamf Teacher. We're going to start by navigating to GeoGebra in Safari. In here, you can see an example of lessons that Tim's created. This one is about telling time and counting change. To share this with my students either in class or remote, I'll need to create a class and give it a name. After it's been created, I'm going to bring it into Jamf Teacher from the Safari share sheet. You'll then be presented with a list of lessons available in Jamf Teacher, so let's choose the one that we made before. Use multitasking to move back into the Jamf Teacher app. Now that it's all prepared, I can start the lesson. Simply tap on Start, choose a duration, and then choose a target class that you'd like to send the lesson to. The student's iPad will have only the apps and settings that we chose in the lesson, as well as the GeoGebra Classroom link that we created. With just a single tap, they can join the GeoGebra Classroom session.
And here, you can clearly see the teacher view on the left, the student view on the right. As soon as a student enters the class, the name appears there. You go to the Tasks Overview page, the teacher can view student work now in real time. Let's watch what student on the right does here. Student Johnson Child is asked to express the time 7:45 on the analog clock shown there. So as the student moves the hands of the clock, the teacher on the left can see changes in the student's work on his or her iPad. And now it looks like the student is just about there and yes, has correctly expressed the time 7:45. And the teacher sees evidence of that on the left. If we go to task number 2, we have a money problem here. There's lots of tasks like this in GeoGebra. Here, the student is asked to express the change using coins by dragging coins below the black line. And as the student drags the coins, again, the teacher can see evidence of the student's work on the left in real time. A platform like this is ideal for remote learning, as teachers do not have to ask students to share their screens. The teacher can see all student work in real time. And a GeoGebra class can have many students, hundreds even. So student Veronica just entered the class here, and let's see what she is able to do. Can she express the change when we pay $1 for a 22-cent pack of gum? Let's see. As Veronica drags the coins below the line, the teacher on the left sees Veronica's work in real time, updated. Here you see the power of GeoGebra Classroom.
As Tim mentioned, GeoGebra Classroom is just one of the great features available from the folks at GeoGebra, and you can learn more at geogebra.org. We looked at two apps available in the App Store by third-party developers, Explain Everything and GeoGebra. There are thousands of educational apps on the App Store, so reach out to Apple or your Apple partners for more recommendations.
Those are some fantastic apps. I'd love to extend another big thank you to our partners for joining us today. And now, let's recap briefly and walk through some of the Jamf solutions we discussed. Today, we talked about the services and programs needed to deploy apps, different methods of licensing, configuring, and distributing apps, ways to build a strong app library, as well as other considerations IT should take into account for any learning environment. Of course, Jamf helps organizations succeed with Apple. That's our mission, it's simple and straightforward, and we're incredibly happy to be considered the standard for Apple in education. We help schools connect, manage, and protect Apple products, apps, and educational resources in the cloud without anyone ever needing to touch a device. Today our focus was around Jamf School and Jamf Pro. Jamf School helps schools, IT, and educators spend less time managing technology and more time investing in their classrooms, while Jamf Pro is the gold standard for Apple management for large-scale school districts. Jamf helps more than 40,000 organizations to manage 17 million plus Apple devices. When education organizations need a world leader in Apple management, they turn to Jamf. The world's largest K-12 primary and secondary schools and the best universities around the globe choose Jamf for Apple management. We also have an exclusive focus on Apple and a history of providing same-day support for their new operating systems and services. This ensures end users can take advantage of new Apple capabilities the day they're available. Here, you can see our track record, and we're very proud of it. Jamf also helps more to help you be successful. Our professional services offer on-location or remote services to customize Jamf for your environment. We offer certification courses, which are held by our training team. You can become an expert in Jamf Pro and widen your skill set. And we have world-class support from Apple experts across the globe. We even offer 24/7 support via our premium support packages. Of course, we're nothing without our customers, and that's proven with the Jamf Nation community. This online forum is home to over 100,000 Apple IT-focused individuals that learn from each other, discuss best practices, and have access to a wealth of resources and third-party tools. Create a free account today to join the discussion. Thanks so much for listening. We'll email you the recording as soon as it's ready. If you're ready to get started with Jamf, you can scan the QR code right on screen to get in touch with us, or feel free to email us at info@jamf.com.